What's up guys, it's Mike from House of Dula. Hey, on this video we're going over EgoBruise's wiring. The whole thing is done. It's exciting. We're gonna go over the entire electrical system for control pack. We're gonna go start from the battery, go all the way forward, and I'm gonna show you everything I've done. We're making progress fast on this car, which means it's gonna be running and at least firing up soon. So it's getting really fun. So stay tuned. You know this car, man. Little 1979 Mustang coupe with a 2015 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine, T5 transmission. Very simple build, but it's gonna be really cool. Kind of a mix between old school and resto mod new school with a little bit of flair. It's just something I'm really passionate about building right now, and I can't wait to get started on it. So we're gonna go over everything that I've done to this point. It's not really gonna be a how-to video this time. This is just kind of gonna be a catch you up on everything, and we're going to go into detail on the electrical system, and I'm going to throw in clips of when I was doing that work. So it's going to be kind of all over the place, so you should be able to keep up pretty easily, I guess, hopefully. But anyways, let's get started. I'm going to start with the trunk. You guys missed this girl, man. Hey, I've been driving the hell out of it. It's the perfect weather here. Springtime in Texas is best time in Texas. Yeah, I have been driving this. It looks amazing. It's still the most fun car to drive ever. Just fast enough to scare me. But also reliable enough just to get in and cruise, go anywhere, man. Okay, EgoBruise, yes. Okay, this car. Starting with the trunk. Remember when I put it in the trunk? So here's the battery box that I put in this car. I got it from Summit Racing. It is a very basic battery box. I'm running the exact same one in the 86. Nothing wrong with it. It is bolted to the floor with some studs here. These studs are welded to the trunk floor, and then it's laid over the studs, got some holes in the bottom of the box, and then the whole thing has been bolted down. So check this out. Okay, so first off, we're gonna start back here. This is 1/0 cable. Guys, I've learned my mistakes from this car. On this car, I ran that aluminum clad wiring from Amazon. It's your standard stuff. It's like this red stuff right there. Okay, it's affordable, it's easy to buy, it's easy, they say it's really flexible. It is flexible, guys. What it is, it's aluminum wire that's cladded in copper. It's copper clad aluminum wire is what it is, and it's not good. This one has had resistance issues starting, especially when it's hot, since I bought it, with the battery being relocated to the trunk and the wires running to the starter, especially when that turbo gets the starter hot. So I've learned my lesson, and on this I decided to nut up and just pay for solid or copper strand, not solid copper, but copper strand welding wire. This is 1/0 welding wire all the way from here to the distribution block and to the starter. All right, so yeah, here we go. So we got 1/0 cables. This is how I make all my cables. Okay, these are solder-on cables. I like to use the solder-on lugs, and there's a big chunk of solder inside of here. These are solder-on, heat shrunk everything, and then the lugs. So I've got a cool little way to make the battery lugs here. Check out how I make all my lugs in this whole system. The best way to cut this cable, in my opinion, is with a cutoff wheel, but we're gonna have to do this as such where we don't kill ourselves. So here goes nothing. Now I've got a razor blade here, and what I like to do is get just enough off the lug. You want to cut about that much insulation off of this battery terminal, and not much more. You just want all the copper to fit inside the lug, but you don't want a lot of copper sticking out on the other side of the lug. So what I'd like to do is just start slicing it and spinning the cable. Now I can feel it hitting the copper. I don't want to cut through the copper. Yes, I know they make they do make tools for this, but this is the way to do it. Just don't cut yourself, right? It's the way I do it, at least. I don't have a tool. Okay, now we got a perfect amount stripped out. I'll show you the tool I used to put the lugs on. You can see this here. This is pretty sweet. This is a lug tool. It is called I don't know, TETEMC. It's a TH0007. I got this on Amazon, and it is freaking awesome. This thing makes awesome lugs for batteries, all different kinds of sizes. You slip the lug inside of here, the spring locks it, and you hammer down on it. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. We're going to slip on first our heat shrink tube. Make sure you get all the copper in here. Alright, so see how that's about perfect? There's no copper showing, so that's pretty good. Now I'm going to kind of just rotate this to where it fits the car. Let me do that real quick. Alright, so this is pretty good. Slip the lug underneath it like this. Hammer down. And check that out. It gives it a tapered compression here and a punch right in the center here. This thing is not going anywhere. Alright, on the battery here, so I've got a lug coming right off the negative battery terminal. You see I've got it sandwiched here between the stud. That means it's grounding on the stud here, grounding the back of the car straight to the middle. So this is adding an extra ground to the rear end of the car, which I just like, having a direct solid grounds everywhere throughout the car. Coming directly off this stud, we got the negative battery cable going to a thick loom here. And on the positive side, same deal. I've got a nice cable here going out to a protector. It's wrapped and it goes straight into a Megafuse battery block here. So this is Megafuse, I believe, is a 250 amp. So into the 250 amp Megafuse and then out. So remember, whenever you're fusing your main battery here, obviously you want the big enough amp, high enough amp. 250 is a good start to be able to handle anything into the car that's putting a big draw on it. Anything over 250 is going to pop it, including an arc or anything grounding from this big cable. You want it as close to the battery as possible because if you put the fuse up here, anything from this point back to the battery is unprotected. So if it arcs anywhere between here, you get some sort of a collision. It can arc and therefore cause a fire. So you want the fuse right off of the battery as close as you can to the positive. So that's what we got here. So here's our Megafuse block. It goes back through here. I don't know if you can see that up here, but it's going back underneath here, underneath the back seat, or behind the back seat. Okay, so it's going back down here. You can kind of see it poking right there between the seat, and it goes between the seat, behind the plastics here, and I've started sandwiching it here. And right now, I've got just these here. I've got to put these all along the way down the frame rail here, or the kick rail. So we got negative and positive down there, snaking along here like so. All right, let's come inside of here. This is not bolted down. Okay, so now these both are going straight off the battery into a distribution block. Go. One up here for positive, and we got this one here for negative. Now I wanted a distribution block, so I had a place to tie in the Ford control pack. I had a place to tie in the Volvo electric power steering pump. I had a place to try, tie in the main power going straight from here. I wanted it in a location where it was inside the car. There's not a lot of locations inside a Mustang on this passenger side, but this is in the spot where it'll still allow me to put the blower motor up through here and get out of the way, and it's hidden so you don't see it. It's not kicking out, it's not sticking out, it's not in the way. So this is a spot that I chose, and that is what it is. So let's kind of go over what I've got tied into the distribution blocks. And there will be a cover over the negative terminal here. So let's just start on the negative. The negative side here, we've got this first wire right here. Actually, that's not the first wire. The first wire is right below my finger, and I couldn't really see it from the view I was at, but that wire goes to the HVAC blower motor, which powers the negative side of the connector that plugs into the HVAC blower motor. So this goes down and actually loops right here. It's just a ground. Because the factory location had a ground here, I wanted to get a direct ground from the battery to this side of the car on this kick panel. So there it is. The wire right above it is, I believe, the direct negative to the Ford control pack. So the Ford control pack is all self-contained. It's got its own power and negative wire that controls all the relays and fuses for the whole engine and starting system and fuel pump and everything. So it's really self-contained. It's pretty cool. It just needs a positive wire directly to the battery. So that's this one. And the positive for it is this one right here. So that's the Ford control pack. Moving up here, this is the wire that goes straight to the Volvo electric pump on the passenger, on the driver's side. We'll go look at that in a second. And then I got, of course, the main cable here, and then a main ground coming out of the distribution block. Comes out of here. The main ground goes around, and it goes to here, which is directly grounded to the starter, to the engine block. So this is my way of grounding the engine directly. So it goes straight, basically straight from here to the battery. So the engine itself has a direct ground. Let me show you real quick what I'm doing here on all of my wire looms. I'm using this plastic. Anytime it goes through any metal or any kind of really surface that it's poking through, I like to use the plastic loom, and I use this cloth electrical tape. This is kind of overkill, and it's a little bit more expensive than electrical tape, but this is automotive grade. It's Tessa 51036, and it is more like a factory look. It's a cloth base. It's real strong, and it's electrical tape. So when you wrap it around your loom, it has a real nice, almost factory look to it. So I've got that around any connection of the plastic here for your terminals are going to. So I've got it around there, here, on the inside of the loom, and going through both of these wire looms here. Okay, so that's the negative side. The power side. On the positive side, we've got, of course, the main positive going into here. I've got this, like I said earlier, is the main wire that goes straight to the Ford control pack that is powering the relays and fuses and the computer for the EcoBoost motor. This yellow one goes into the factory harness that powers the car, the headlights, the interior lights, and everything. So there is actually only one cable on a 79 that powers everything. So with a wire tuck, this is a normal wire tuck, guys. It's not that hard. Everything from a Foxbody is going to come out here, snake through here. It's going to have wires coming in and out of this location there. I pulled it all through, pulled it out through a new hole, right through here, and it is just looped underneath and hidden and tucked underneath here, behind the radiator, core support, and then back around through here. So this is all part of the existing factory wiring harness. So really the only thing left over now is headlights. I mean, we got headlights and horn, and that's about it. The one wire I did pull off of that harness, though, is the yellow wire, which is factory yellow, that ties straight into the positive side. Okay, so whenever you turn the key on, that's your direct power. You can see it going through here, and that snakes back to the factory harness. So that's the yellow wire, obviously pretty important. And the only other wire we got up here is this red one that goes to the Volvo power steering pump. Now it has two main wires for positive and ground that I've got running alongside the HVAC unit, over the dash, over the steering column. And where it is going is up through here and right underneath here. Okay, the Volvo power steering pump has a 40 amp breaker that I installed, and I intentionally put it right back here so that if I'm driving and I want to shut off the Volvo power steering pump, I can do that. I can reach back here, press the button, and also reset it back here. But that is on the main wire because the main harness for the Volvo power steering pump needs direct positive and negative straight to the battery, which it does so by going through the distribution block. So it snakes through here. I've got it coming out up through here and then poking out right here. Okay, so there's our positive and negative. Positive and negative follows in and goes into the Volvo powering steering. You can go back and watch the video on the Volvo electric hydraulic power steering pump that we installed here. This is going to provide power steering to the car since the EcoBoost motor does not have a hydraulic power steering pump on it. So this converts hydraulic or electric motor, converts it to hydraulic power, which is pretty cool, but it needs a lot of amps, needs a lot of juice. So I've got this harness you can buy directly off eBay, and it comes with the activation harness. Now what's cool about this is this has a relay built into it that actually kicks it on. All you need to supply is power and a source that tells the pump to turn on, and that is it. Now I did something unique on this. This wire actually comes up into its own relay. You're wondering, why do I have a relay on it if it has a relay on the pump? Well, this is what they call a delay relay. It's a 10-second delay relay, and this wire here goes into the blue and white wire. Blue and white wire in this whole harness on this car is a key on source. So as soon as you apply your key on, this wire is activated throughout the car. It's using a whole bunch of different connectors, but blue and white on this car is a key on wire. But it powers up this relay, and this relay waits 10 seconds and it clicks on the power steering pump. I'll show you how it works in a second. You'll hear it kick on. But the reason why I did that is because this is not controlled by the Ford control pack. It's isolated by itself, and I wanted to have a delay on it so that whenever I first turn the key, it didn't hit that amps and didn't rob amps from starting the car and the electric fans kicking on and everything else that's kind of hits the battery at once whenever you first turn the key on. So what I want to do is put a relay on it so that you could turn the key on, start the car, everything gets settled in, the fans will kick on if it's hot, and then this will kick on so you'll have your power steering. But again, I wanted to put that delay on it. So that is the Volvo power steering pump. Going back to the positive wire here. So that explains everything for the positive wire except for this big wire that I forgot to talk about up here. And this is the direct power coming out of the distribution block. It ties directly into the main power that goes out into the engine bay. And I'll show you this guy here. So it comes out here, and again, this is wrapped in a loom. I'm going to snake it down. I need to hide it a little bit better. I don't like where you can see it, but it goes straight to the starter. So you can see it right there. This is a direct wire straight to the starter. Now next to the starter on that same wire, you've got a cable going the other direction. This one goes around the motor, underneath the motor, and ties into the alternator. As you see here in this video, the Ford control pack had its own harness for the alternator and starter, but because we are using an Essinger and a T5, which moves the starter from the driver's side to the passenger side, I had to get creative and kind of do my own thing with the alternator and starter wire. So the Ford control pack really comes with absolutely everything that you would need to wire up an EcoBoost motor into any project. This is the harness they gave me for the starter, the alternator, and your main battery connection. This is a kind of a unique plug here that fits the stock starter that would have come with the EcoBoost motor. So back here, I've actually got one, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is the stock EcoBoost starter, which again we're not using because, and I'll show you here in a second. So this would go in just like this. You know, so see how that kind of goes in like that? And this little plug right here on it is important too, because this is the plug that tells the starter to start. So this goes to the control pack, and whenever you turn the key on the ignition, this is what energizes the starter once it receives a signal from the computer. The computer receives a signal to this, sends it to this little connection here, and then sends power to the starter to crank the motor over. Alright, so this is the harness that I came up with. Check out, it's kind of a hybrid between the existing harness that came with the Ford control pack, because I wanted to keep this plug on it. This is a cool plug that ties into the harness that activates the starter solenoid. So it just goes into here and goes to a starter solenoid wire here. So this will plug into the starter solenoid to activate the starter. This will plug into the main battery harness on the starter, and this will go underneath the motor into the alternator. So the alternator actually loops through the starter because the starter has a direct 1/aught cable straight to the back of the battery here in the trunk. So you want direct access. This is the cable that came with the Ford control pack. So yeah, I like it. It's wrapped up in nice tape here. So we're good to go. I'm going to drape this thing underneath the car, and then I'll show you. All right, so let's talk about the Ford control pack harness. Again, like I said, you've got two wires that go into this loom right here for the positive and negative. So this is the positive and negative to the Ford control pack. The only really wires it has outside here from the fuse box is a fan wire, which is right here. This is actually will power your fans directly. I have two fans, so I'm going to have to run this to a relay. I haven't done that yet, but this will run to a relay to power my contour fans because there's two of them. If you don't have that and you just have one fan with a Ford control pack, they even give you the wire and the relay, and everything is built into the box here. In fact, a relay for the fuel pump and everything. You don't need a relay for your fuel pump. This is actually really cool. All you need to do is mount this box. All you have to do is just mount this box and provide positive, negative wires to it. So now you've got your relays, you've got your fuses and everything here for the Ford control pack. It's all isolated, which is really cool. So the Ford control pack, you've got your plus and minus coming into here, powering your fuse. Okay, now coming out of here, you've got a main harness that I've got snaked along here. That's this guy here. It wraps around and goes into your ECU. So there's your ECU, and there's another one that tees off that goes this way, which is this guy right here, that goes to all your sensors and plugs, that goes to your engine harness, which came with the motor. It's all plugged in and ready to go. It just needs to be cleaned up. This I need to cut off. This is CAN bus. I don't need to use this, so I need to cut this off and hide it. The only other wires that you need for the Ford control pack, besides your main engine harness, the ECU, plus and minus for the power, is now your key on wire, your fuel pump wire, your check engine light, your start initiator, because this actually has a wire that goes to the starter, the start solenoid here. This is what tells the solenoid to kick over and start your motor. Would normally be part of the 79 pack, but the Ford control pack has its own wire that I tied into the alternator harness. So key on and start is actually controlled by the computer because it has a clutch control switch that ensures you have to have the clutch pedals pushed all the way in before you can start the car. So let's talk about that. So now we got the wire coming back into the car that goes into a main plug that wires everything else. So I want to cut over to that video now. So yeah, what is left? So, well, actually, let's not go inside just yet. Forgive my mess, but this is what's important. This harness right here. So from the factory Ford control pack, you've got a couple wires that come into the interior. So we have snaked them behind the dash. One of them plugs into the clutch, which is neat, and one of them plugs into the fly-by-wire pedal here. So the clutch pedal, we have, whenever I did this whole clutch pedal assembly, I tied in the Ford control pack clutch switch. So it's supposed to be an activation switch, and it's actually, put in really well. So it has perfect range. It knows when the clutch is engaged and not engaged. And then this right here is going to be our control light, or this is our check engine light, our CEL light, and the OBD2 port. So there's our data access port. I'm going to do something cool with that. So we have this to do something with, and there's this plug right here that plugs into this harness right here. Now this, they give you a lot of wire for this because there is 4 wires in here. One of them, and I gotta look at the color combo, but one of them is a key on source, and I believe it's this one. So this is going to be key on. One of them is a start condition. So you need to tie this into our switch here. Not our light switch, dum-dum. Tie into our ignition switch. So it needs to know, when you turn it on, the key is on, and when you turn it full, it is activating the start solenoid. So that is on here. We need to find those wires, tie that into here. One of them is also a fuel pump, and those wires will snake back to the back whenever we have a fuel pump and fuel tank, which I don't have yet. I do have the tank, not the pump. And then we'll tie this into the key on. So if I get everything correct, we should be able to tie this into key and key on. And actually, we should be able to get data from the port. I should be able to plug this in to a data reader and get in there. The engine will be running, but we should see things, which is going to be really cool and weird. That's when it really hit me. I was like, oh my God, I'm like 2 wires away from like really testing the whole Ford control pack. And guys, it wasn't that hard. It was just once I had a plan of where to lay things out in the engine bay, it's not that bad. So yeah. Okay, I went ahead and removed the steering column, and sure enough, the wires we need are right here. So easy. So the white and blue one here is a key on, and this red and gray stripe one right here is the starter solenoid. So all we're gonna do is tie this into the steering column, tuck this away. Yeah, I'm good to go. So anyways, I identified it pretty easily. Like I said, I found this underneath the engine bay over there. I know that's key on. I tested it here, and it's definitely a key on source. And that is definitely the start ignition wire right there. Cool. Fresh on my mind, let me explain here what I have done. There is 4 wires coming out of this connector. This bigger one here is gray and yellow, goes to the fuel pump. This goes directly to the fuel pump. This is a positive wire to the fuel pump. So once the fuel pump's ran, all we need to do is ground it and run this to the pump. The pump will turn on whenever their ECU tells it to turn on. The other wires here, we have a solid red that goes to a constant 12 volt. Now you saw me tear into here and get into the wires stripping the column. I stripped them down and soldered in the wires directly to the steering column and the ignition switch. So we have the big yellow wire here. Both of them are constant always. You can see right there the red one where I tapped into this and soldered it in, heat shrunk it. And then we have the blue and white wire, which is a key on. So you'll need that into the light green and red, the Christmas colored wire there, the light green and red. So that goes into the key on. And then the last wire we'll need is the start wire, the one that tells the ECU to fire the starter. And that would be in the, oh gosh, it's a gray and brown one back there. That's the same one that goes all the way to the fender that plugged into your solenoid right on the side of your firewall that tells your solenoid to turn on the starter. So easy, right here on the key, if I did everything correctly. Right now, if I plug this up and we look at our connector here, this is our check engine light, this should turn on when I turn the key on. This is supposed to be on to let you know the bulb is not out, just like when you turn your normal car on now, the check engine light comes on. And then, if I press the clutch pedal in and I crank it, the motor should turn over, which means everything is wired correctly for the Ford ECU. And if it had fuel, it would light off. Okay, here we go. And also, this wire should become energized for the fuel pump. So I want to make sure it's not hitting any steel. It's a very long wire, which is great because we'll be able to route this to the trunk. So here goes nothing, man. All right. Move this all over. Put the key in. Oh my God. No smoke. No smoke. Let's do this. Okay. Wrong key, Mike. Oh God. See? I changed this ignition switch out. It's not very good. Okay, I do not have a light. I don't know what that means. Oh. I didn't plug it in. I didn't plug it in. I'm getting too excited. Jeez, this whole plug down here. Yeah, the Ford made it. The instructions actually tell you don't plug this in until everything is done and wired. I guess they didn't want you to, you know, short out something. But okay, Jesus, here we go. Plugging in connector. This plug connects all those wires I just did to the ECU, which will go here, like this. Now, let's do this. All right, I'm just gonna back up here again. I don't know if you can see this or not. Hopefully you can. Let's just get in here. All right. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Key on. It's lit, and I just heard a whole bunch of sensors kick on things on the motor. It's very dimly lit, but it's lit. Holy crap. If I press on the clutch, it should start. Yes! Yes! Holy crap, this thing had fuel, it would run. Oh my God, it's a lot of work, and it's so awesome when it works like it's supposed to work. And also, let's check the neutral safety switch. If I turn it on here, see, I can hear all the sensors clicking. If I turn this on, it shouldn't crank over. It does not. Turn it off. Oh, dude. Alright, I'm gonna stop doing that. It doesn't have oil in it, or it doesn't have a lot of oil in it. Kick ass. I got a lot to clean up, a lot to tidy up, a lot of wires to clean up. Alright, yeah. Freaking sweet. Yeah, flipping awesome, man. I have to now find a spot for the check engine light and OBD2 ports. And I got to run the fuel pump wire. I'm going to go ahead and run it. I'm going to snake it up along the inner dash, down the channel here, and then back to the trunk where it belongs. It'll just sit there until we get a fuel pump. But I think everything's working. In fact, listen, you can hear the key back here. You can hear all the solenoids and relays and stuff click. Ooh, let's do this. Let's hook up the OBD2 port and see if we get data. Codes, stored codes. No codes are stored. It's reading the computer, guys. No pending codes. Pretty cool. Live data. It is reading the ECU. Also, I want to show you how lame this light is. Okay. It, on camera, I mean, guys, it is like super lame. Maybe the battery's just low, but that is sad. You can't even see it. I mean, in the daytime, if that comes on, you're not going to see it at all. Check it out. There we go. Look at that. We even got engine temperature, 68 degrees. Intake air temperature, throttle position sensor. Position is 14.7%, which is weird. Let's see here. Okay, well, that's trippy. Check this out. You can hear the throttle blade open up. I guess it's what they sound like. Yeah, we got oil pressure, all kinds of stuff in here. So it's reading. That is perfect. That is awesome. Perfect. Let me show you from the driver's seat. So it is right there. For me, it's perfect. It looks just like a factory spot. Take our computer here, see if it all fits okay. There we go. Boom. We do a key on, we should see a little dim light. Not a huge fan of that light. There it is. All right, man, so that pretty much wraps it up. The one thing I forgot to talk about, I would like to talk about real quick here, is the AC. I can't believe I missed it. The AC has been figured out. It completely works as far as clicking on the compressor from the dashboard. It's stupid simple. So I've got over here on the garage a wiring diagram from a 79 Mustang. I simply just found the AC switch and I traced it down to this guy right here, which is an evaporation temp sensor, or on later Mustangs, this is a pressure sensor switch, and then it goes into the clutch. That's it. It completes a circuit just by clicking it on here, going to this pressure sending unit, and turning on the clutch. It's that simple. In fact, my 86 is the same way. So as soon as you turn on AC in the dash, you've got wires here that is checking the pressure out. And if it's too low or too high, this will break open the connection, killing the circuit, therefore not turning the AC clutch on. Therefore it doesn't damage the system. 79 had a similar system, except it had a temperature sensor unit that was up here next to the evaporator core on the front of on the radiator. And what would happen is whenever that thing got, I guess, too hot or possibly too cold outside, it would break the connection and open it, keeping you from turning the AC on. Those wires have been identified a long time ago. I identified them whenever I did the wire tuck. In my car, it looks like it's black and orange, and I don't know what that is, like a light green and gray, possibly. So I've got that tied into this pressure switch that works with this system and with this accumulator. So this goes into here, just like this. It just completes the circuit. There's no positive, there's no minus. But that's essentially how it works. So whenever I fill the system, what I'm gonna have to do is just pull these out and touch them together, or bridge it, put some sort of bridge between them. That will force the compressor to kick on and let me suck in Freon to charge the system. But that's it. That's been wired, it's been figured out. So that, and the initial, this is the important piece, is right here. This is the clutch compressor wire on a 79 Mustang. This goes to this wire right here. I'm so sorry guys, it's just too dark in here. I can't even see the color of it. If you really need to know this, let me know, I'll tell you. But it's that color. Of course, I labeled it whenever I took the old motor out, and I just labeled AC compressor. It was one wire, plugs to the AC compressor, it grounds the compressor, turns it on, done. It's really that easy. Now, I did have to buy a harness for this one. This is a harness that I actually had to buy it from like a Ford dealership. So hopefully you can see this okay here. So this is a harness I bought that goes into this style AC compressor from the EcoBoost. One of them I simply grounded to the motor, and the other one goes to that wire that essentially goes into the switch on the inside. I need to hide it. I don't like where this is at. To have it right there, you can see this has actually not even been made yet. It's just temporarily tied together, so I've got to do something more permanent, and it's not going to be running underneath the frame like that. So that's it. That's the whole system. I told you I would show you the Volvo pump. Let me show you that now. I don't want to run it too long because I don't have fluid in it, but I do want to show you that relay. Okay, so I'm going to click this on. Kind of a hidden switch down here. I should put a kill switch in here like this too, but it's a hidden switch down here. And I got to switch on. There, that switches the breaker on. So now, on a normal day here, you get into here. As soon as I turn the key on, hear all the relays and sensors turn on. Give this 10 seconds, you'll hear it click and fire on. Okay, and there it goes. Don't want to kill it, so turning it off. So that's how the system will work right now. If I put fluid in here, this is the reservoir I've added to the top of the motor. If I filled it with fluid and turned it on, what it would do is actually pressurize the power steering system, which is pretty neat. Man, I'm gonna end the video inside the car because I'm excited like that and I'm ready to drive this thing already, but we got a lot of work to do. Fuel system, rear end, rear suspension, and I guess we could drive it then, but I got a lot of work to do. I've got some really cool hood hinges I want to show you from Thomas Hill. That's gonna be the next video. I'm gonna show off some billet pieces we're gonna put on the car. And also I've got coming, if I will ever get them in, because they're on back order, yes, I'm putting Dakota Digital gauges, the new series in here. I think they're like VX series, something like that. They are expensive as all get out, but I have to do it on this car. It is so worth it. What's so cool about it is it'll plug right into my OBD2 port down here and pick up all the sensors without having to run extra wires for all the sensors and everything. So it is going to be sick, sick, sick. I cannot wait to get it. I'm leaving the wood grain. I'm going to totally run the Dakota Digital. I can't wait to show you that series, or the Dakota Digital install. And I also cannot wait to show you these sweet hood hinges that I've got. These black billet hood hinges are so badass. So I've got content coming. We're making progress. I'm tying up little things. If you had a really good eye, you can go back and watch the video. You'll probably see I've got a downpipe in here. Actually, oh yeah, let's keep the lights on. Just want to show you that, yeah, the car is actually wired. We got headlights and things like a radio, all this stuff works. Wiper mod over here, it still works. Don't forget about that. Our hidden wiper. Radio. There's our wiper, yep. And, oh, I almost forgot. I need to turn that off. But yeah, if you had a really good eye, man, you would see that down here I've got a downpipe installed. That is off a 2015 Mustang. It fits. I can't believe it fits. I thought, what the hell? It's an aftermarket 3-inch stainless steel one somebody had online for 200 bucks. I picked it up, said, what the hell? Let's see if it'll fit. And it does. So it fits. It's not bolted down. I'm waiting on some more bolts, but I did have to buy the gasket donut in here right there. So it's a donut gasket between, they call it a catalytic converter donut gasket between the turbo outlet, but it actually does kind of work, man. I don't know, we're gonna play with it. I just bolted it in just to see if it would work. So that's pretty cool. What else? Oh yeah, and I've gotten a whole bunch of parts in, little things that I'm missing, like, but yeah, I got little things like, oh man, engine bolts that I'm missing, some studs that I'm missing, serpentine belt, AC serpentine belt, air cleaner studs, stuff like that. So I'm starting to get little stuff in that I need to get to complete the project. So that's it, man. We could plug our O2 sensor in. It's in the back of the trunk too. I can run fuel to it. The fuel system, I've got half the pieces for the fuel system already. We got to mount the tank, and we could probably fire it up. And then once it's fired up, we got to pull it out and start doing body work. But it's just fun now. I think because I'm over this and moving on to things, I feel like I'm making more progress and it's becoming fun again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to driving this thing. Hey, follow me on Instagram. That's cool. Go to houseofdoula.com. You know why? Because it's got Instagram feed, it's got the YouTube videos, the Facebook group, and some how-to. I don't have any how-tos, but there's some technical documents I'm putting out there. I'm putting manuals, some things I'm working on this, diagrams and stuff. As I build this car, I'm documenting it in my own way, kind of like an instruction manual or owner's manual, if you will. So it'll be out there online for you guys to check out if you want to. There's part numbers out there too, stuff like that. So check it out, follow that stuff. We'll see you next time soon on House of Doula.